So one of the questions that I had for you was, I haven't really done an RCT, but I understand that, from an epidemiology perspective, you must have done a lot of RCTs because the data is very conducive for it. But when you transition to marketing, all we have is the observational data, right? And then we are just left with, tools like quasi-causal methods. So do you think, there is some kind of, accuracy lacking, in comparison to RCT and quasi-causal methods, or do you think the quasi-causal methods are themselves enough given the observational data?
Well, I think, we have different tools for different problems, right? And um, in the field of epidemiology I was in, the focus was largely on like observational cohort data. I did like a lot of my publications used clinical data, but they were they were a bit, they were secondary to the sort of primary goal of the clinical study. And the institute around me, it's all how do you say, like chronic disease epidemiology, right? So we've got cohort data, and it's exactly problem very, very similar to the MMM problem. Like we don't have obviously like a daily, weekly time set, but we have observational one time point data on people. Do they have diabetes? Do they exercise a lot? Do they smoke? Do they have hypertension? And we're figuring out the effect of smoking on cancer and all of these kinds of things, right? And there's powerful tools. We've advanced a lot of things through that field of research, right? And on the other hand, those kind of tools don't work so well, for example, in the field of epidemiology for nutrition. Like, is it better to, eat this or that? Like the WHO was very proud to show red meat and the small risk increase for bowel cancer, but all in all, it's something that you can't measure well in population-based surveys, right? And then we can rely more on the experts who understand the biology in the food to guide us, right? And so in marketing, we've got to put the pieces together. We've got this information we've got on our ad platforms. They're telling us something about what's working, what isn't. Are we achieving what we wanted to with the strategy we're doing? And so, we can combine our methods to try and get to the truth. But the problem is when you just fixate on a single number somewhere, and that becomes, the be all and end all of where you should spend your budget and what works and what doesn't.
Sure. Thanks for that example. In our course, we just covered one classic example of epidemiology, whether smoking causes cancer. And funnily, it wasn't proved through RCT. It was proved through, quasi-causal methods. And I believe that, quasi-causal methods have their, own advantages. And if you have got only observational data, those are the best methods to apply. So it's not required that you should apply RCTs always, but quasi-causal methods can also be really beneficial.